Perfect.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, thanks. Hopefully. I just entered California and I had to go through an inspection area. So we had to all stop, but they did not look in my car. So if anybody knows, like, why did I just have to do an inspection area? What were we inspecting? What are we looking at? Hey friends, welcome back. You may notice I'm in a different location this week. We made it out the trenches. I am finally in beautiful Los Angeles, California. I just finished up my first week here, and I thought it would be beneficial to talk about the experience of relocating to a new city, everything that goes into it, and what I've learned along the way. If you have ever considered moving, switching things up, starting fresh in a new city, this would be a great video for you to watch. I've been documenting all of the things that I have been going through this week, things that I think would be beneficial for you to prepare yourself for emotionally before you make a big move. The first thing that I would do before you move to a big city is do some research. And that might sound like a no-brainer, but I think the biggest issue that people have is they don't have a good concept of what it's actually like to live in a city before they get there. In my story, I prayed about moving here for almost 5 years. So I had done a lot more research than probably the average person, but there's tons of resources online. There are definitely videos from people of their perspective of living in a big city, things that you should think about and consider before you move. And I think those would be very helpful to start with. And I think just in general, understanding that if you're going to move to a big city, there's probably going to be a couple things that big cities have in common, at least in the United States. Traffic, parking issues, and sometimes signage. I found this more in Phoenix than I have in Los Angeles. Phoenix highways, for some reason, are just, in my opinion, not very well signed. So it was very confusing trying to get from A to B if you didn't know the city or you didn't know the highway or where you're supposed to be going. Versus, I will say, like Minneapolis, St. Paul, Los Angeles, those cities that I've been in are better signed. I think the first barrier I had to overcome was comfort, not only a lack of comfort in not always knowing what was going to happen next. I have been greatly stretched in the last month in that mental area of my life. But two, when you're relocating somewhere, and especially if you're living with roommates or you're living with another person, it can be a little bit of a adjustment getting used to living with other people who have different personalities, who have different ways of doing things. And for me, I came into an already established household and I was filling in a spot for the last 2 months of a lease. So I definitely came in just wanting to feel out the situation, take it slow, feel how my roommates do things and like what the rhythm of the day was too. The first half of my week was just setting things up, setting up the blow-up mattress. I eventually realized that I think the blow-up mattress itself retains cool air, which will be really nice for the summer, but is not so great in the winter months here. Even though it's Los Angeles, it gets down to like 40, 50 degrees at night. And so being on a cold bed was not refreshing in this season. So having to set things up and then kind of make adjustments and redo things. Going along with that, also, I have a forced capsule wardrobe at the moment because I didn't bring a majority of my clothes out because I just didn't know how long I'd be staying here. And now that I know that I'll be staying here till at least October, which I'll get into later in this video, I feel a little better about settling in, getting clothes that are more appropriate for this season. When I go visit home, bringing clothes out here, I feel a little more confident in that decision. But right now, I'm living with what is considered for me a capsule wardrobe because I probably have 20 items or less. I think for the average American boy, that's like pretty normal, but I am not that. A major part of moving that I had prepared for ahead of time, and I think if you're moving, you need to prepare for it too, is being on for people. You are constantly meeting new people in a new city. If you do not have the connections and the friendships and the network already before you go, it's going to be a lot of like being on for everybody and being happy and being bubbly and personable. And it's not that I'm not that. I'm naturally very that way. I love people. I love getting to know new people, but it does get exhausting and you need to be just prepared that you're probably going to stretch yourself socially for a minute. Going along with that, I would say yes to everything that you can. I get a little frustrated when I hear of people moving to cities, or people just, maybe you want to get into a new church or into a new community or a new job, and they feel like they are not being welcomed in, or they feel like they are not making connections, or they're lonely. But then you ask them, and they're not putting effort in to say yes to things, to be with new groups of people, to meet new people. That is very, very important, especially if you're moving to a big city like New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, Minneapolis, Dallas. You need to be able to make connections. And even if you are an introverted person, there's ways to do this. There's ways to utilize all of your energy for those social times and then be able to have the time by yourself to recharge. But I would just say, if you are coming to a new city, that is something that you need to be prepared for, is that there will be a lot of new people for a very extended period of time. So for me, that played out in a couple of different ways. I went to a Bible study on Thursday that my roommate Mel invited me to, and there was maybe 10 people or less there, but it was nice. It was a small group. I felt like I could kind of go person to person and just get a feel for personality, what they like to do for work, who they are. And then I also went to a Galentine's event on Saturday that my roommate Beck invited me to. I will talk a little bit more about that here in this segment. I just got back from a little Galentine's brunch. That's why I'm looking so festive and so cute. This is what I wore today. I have my little faith necklace. I don't know where either of these came from. I'm really having a moment with like accessories. I'm definitely having a moment with accessorizing bags, jewelry. Have like 4 pairs of shoes here because I really didn't bring a lot of shoes just in case. But now I kind of regret it because I only have like 4 pairs of shoes. So I had this beautiful outfit. Let me show you. I hate this harsh white light, but I wore this beautiful outfit. It's a little dress with pockets. I got it from Megan secondhand. I don't even know like what brand it is, but it's perfect. And it's like midi length. But then I had to wear tights because it's kind of cold this morning. And all I had were these honkers. I'm sorry. They're so cute with like a pair of jeans or whatever. But when you see this full look, it's like a little honky tonk. I think because the dress covers so much that I need like a thinner heeled shoe. Otherwise, I just looked like, I kind of look like a Pied Piper, you know what I mean? Week 1 is going so well. I genuinely hit the jackpot on roommates. They are so sweet. And I feel like we definitely are different personalities, but it really meshes together well. I feel like we might have like different ways of approaching something, but we all want the same end goal and same result. And I know that the Lord led me here. I've been praying about it for so long. I've been trusting the Lord, and I've been feeling a little stressed this week. I think I talked about this on the last vlog, but I knew I was feeling it for the last 2 months on a lease here. And so my prayer request, I believe that I shared in last vlog, was I need to get a job because I can't sign on to a 1-year lease if I don't have a job, and like I don't feel comfortable doing that and making that financial commitment for a whole nother year. But I also didn't want to have to just like, oh, that was a good month in LA, like let's head home now, let's pack it up, So I didn't really know what to do because I didn't want to let like roommates down who obviously have put time and intention into this place and they don't want to move. I also didn't feel comfortable like signing on to the full year lease. So that is where an answer to prayer comes in, because Beck ended up finding that there was another apartment that was like 3-bedroom, 2-bath, just like ours, like in this neighborhood for a significant amount of money less. She had asked the landlord, like, would you consider going down on price because this other place that's in the same neighborhood, same exact like square feet, layout, everything, is less expensive to live in. And I just, in my heart, I was like, I don't feel like this landlord is gonna say yes. I feel like he's gonna demand the price that he wants and like a year-long lease, and we need to be looking for another location. Like, we need to start looking now. And then like, do we want a 3rd roommate? If Mel's moving out, do we just want the 2 of us? Like, we're going through all this entire week. Lately, I've been doing walks every single day in the tennis courts, and then I send like an audio message to people and respond to their texts. And I've been telling everybody like, I really need prayer. Like, I don't know, I'm kind of stressed. I'm not so much stressed about my job. I'm more stressed about like how it affects the other people around me, and obviously the long-term goal of staying here. The landlord came back and he was willing to meet us at that price, but he said, I'll only meet you at that price if we can only do a 6-month agreement. And I was like, That is so crazy because that is exactly what I was looking for was a 6-month agreement to make sure that just in case I don't get a job in the next 6 months, which like, please guys be praying I need that job. But just in case I didn't get the job in the next 6 months, then I wasn't held to a year-long lease. And the Lord like came through. That wasn't even an option in my mind that he would offer the 6 months. But like, I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful, you guys. These vlogs have been so sad lately and I just needed a strong answer like in my face to prayer to keep it moving and keep it going and continue praying because I was like, Lord, nothing's happening, like nothing's budging. And I don't know. It's just been a really good first week. I'm dipping my toes in. My roommates have been so kind to invite me to things. On Thursday, I went with Mel to her Bible study and I loved it because I used to co-lead a Bible study back in Minnesota like 4 or 5 years ago. And it reminded me a lot of that, like being able to be in someone's home and being able to like facilitate conversation with like 10 people or less and really go deep and ask questions and share thoughts. And that's the kind of Bible studies I like. I like in-home Bible studies. And that was just such a blessing. I felt like I fit naturally in there. I felt like I just came into the home and everybody was like, hey, what's your story? Like, who are you? Like, tell us about everything. And it didn't feel awkward. And then today, Beck invited me to a Galentine's brunch that I just came back from in Orange County. And so that was like an hour-long drive. That was a little stressful, but I had a fantastic time. I was there from like, what, 11:30 to 3:30 or something. And these are all girls. I did not know anyone but Beck. Like she was the only one that I knew. And I was there for 4 hours just like chatting it up with people, getting to know people. Those girls were fun. So as much as I highlight like the struggles of leaving and like going on to the next step and the whole thing, I do have to say that the Lord has really blessed me this week. Just from the get-go with meeting people, with the environments I'm in, the things I've been invited to. That's my week 1 update. I've been here 7 days, people, and I've already met like, I don't know, 15 people already. That's what I love about LA. Like Minnesota, people just know each other and then they do not leave their friend groups and they do not have you over to their house. And in LA, every time I visited, now being here, people just love to connect. And I really like that energy of the city, that there's always like a newness, there's always like a freshness to it. Another way to get out there and meet new people in a new city is connecting with people based on faith or religious background and beliefs. For me, being a Christian, I have tried 2 churches so far, the 2 Sundays I've been here. The first one had thousands of people, multiple parking lots, and I definitely got lost getting back to my car. So although I felt like the teaching was so sound, that's not the type of stress I want to be under every single week to go to church. And then the second week, I went to a church that probably had like 20 people, was a lot smaller of a group, but then parking, you had to find street parking. Those are just things that you have to consider, like what area do you want to be in? Are you willing to drive a little further to have things like good parking or to be in a certain neighborhood? That's the same thing you have to think about for housing. For me, I knew kind of a area within the city that I wanted to be in, a little more central, just because I didn't know what type of job I would have. I didn't know exactly where I wanted to live. I didn't have like a dream apartment, but I knew the general location that I wanted to be in. And so I was looking within that general radius when I was looking for a home. Same thing with church. As I'm looking at churches, if I really feel connected to the community there, or I really feel like I'm making good friendships, then I will be sticking around. And I think that's the key with it, is you want to look for, are they teaching truth and are they genuine people? But then there's all these different preferences that people have. Also true for housing. There's non-negotiables and then there's preferences. And so no matter what you're doing, when you're choosing your location, when you're choosing your community, when you're choosing your social group, being really intentional about what things do you want and you're not willing to budge on, and what things can you let go or kind of have a little fluid movement with. My final piece of advice for you moving to a new place is to utilize the pros of the city or the location that you've moved to. So for example, I came from Minnesota. Right now it is cold, it is rainy, it is snowy, it is icy, and I grew up there, so I'm used to it. But it has been a world of a difference every single day now living in Los Angeles, getting out in 70-degree weather, in the sun, doing 10,000 steps. A big thing that I do to stay social here is I do hikes. So I went with my roommate the other day. That was a little bit disastrous because I did not prepare correctly. And I definitely had a little bit of like a vertigo health issue moment, but that's on me. Now I know to prepare better. But then yesterday I went with my new friend Shaylee, who I'm sure will be in the vlogs more. And we went to the Griffith Park trails and we were just hiking up and down, but it gives you the opportunity, especially here. The pros are the weather. It's like the mountains and the hills. Those are things like in Minnesota, we have trails and we have great weather. I would say maybe 5 or 6 months out of the year, but the other half of the year, you just don't really want to leave your house if you don't have to. A lot of people socially will like cancel on events and things. Here, I feel like it's the opposite. I feel like things kind of come about last minute, but people are much better to commit last minute than they are in Minnesota because in Minnesota, the weather can deter you from leaving your home. So trying to utilize what gifts the different cities that you're going to allow and then creating community around those things that you enjoy. So I'm finding that I really enjoy hikes and I'm learning how to prepare for them the best way that I can. But I like that it's a great workout. And you also can be very social while you do it. And that's just kind of part of the culture of the city. Another thing I found here is health in general is a very big culture of the city. So a majority of people here are investing in skin health, food products, hair health. They're trying to choose the most natural products for cleaning. My roommates have a lot of like air purifiers and water purifiers and things like that. So I just like to live in an environment where other people are prioritizing health. And that's something that I, for my journey to 30, had said that I wanted to prioritize more in these months leading up to June. And now I'm living in a space where I can prioritize my health more. And I'm also around people who keep me accountable to making healthy decisions and to not growing lazy in that area. I think finding a city that aligns with the things that you want in life and the things that you want to change about your life and the decisions and the differences that you want to make would be so beneficial. Today was a very exciting day that I did get to meet somebody new. I ended up having a connection through friends that we have in Iowa. Through those friends from a small town in Iowa, I got connected to this girl who lives out here. She moved out here like a year ago. And it's so crazy because our stories and our like journeys to get here and our heart for why we came to LA are so aligned. I just had a good feeling from the beginning. We ended up sitting for coffee for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. And then I just was asking her questions because I was like, I haven't even been here a week. I don't know where to get groceries. I need groceries. And she put me on to the grocery outlet bargain market, which if you are someone who wants to eat super healthy, super natural, they do have options, but like I'm just not in a place where I'm going to go out and head to Sprouts or Whole Foods. Financially not there yet. I got these 2 huge bags of groceries, under $50. Insane. The big thing I want to talk about real quick, let me find it. Grass-fed ground beef, less than $4 a pound. You are not finding something like this elsewhere. This is actually what I was asking her about originally. I was like, okay, you're from Iowa. Where are we getting meat for a good deal? And that's also like not horrible beef for us. So she recommended this place. She also said if you're in the LA area that she found eggs for like $3 at Whole Foods. If you are living really anywhere right now, you are probably not finding eggs for less than like $8 or $9. I even looked at this place and the eggs were like $7. That's telling you something. If you live in LA, you want to go here for your ground beef. You want to go to Whole Foods, I guess, for your eggs. I'm trying to get back to my anti-inflammatory diet that I did like 2 years ago. So the anti-inflammatory diet that I did was like a blood test where they looked at not only are you allergic to things, but also are there things that you're eating that can just cause your body to be inflamed. Like you're having a reaction to them, but you're not having a full on like celiac issue or a nut issue or something like that. There will be things in this haul that don't align with that, but I'm really trying to get back to cooking that way and eating that way. So some of the things that I got today are truly only for baking. and just like basics that you need to have in a pinch. Because my thought process is in past seasons, I was able to be more generous with like finances and gifts and things like that. Right now, I am in a season where I can be very generous with my time and intention. And so my thought process was that I could do like baked goods for people or make a meal if they're going through something, like make a frozen meal or something like that. So that was kind of my thought behind sometimes you just need to have staples and you need to just have things quick and on hand, ready to go for baking. I wanted to just talk about when I'm in a moment of kind of restarting and trying to get back on track, and of course have this conversation in like the most healthy way I can, because I know that there's a lot of, I think I have a 98% female viewership, so I'm not going to sit here and have a conversation about like unhealthy habits. My goal always is to aid my body and to fuel it. People say that all the time, but sometimes my friend calls it like soul food. Like sometimes it is a rainy day in Los Angeles and I want to have macaroni and cheese. And that's more of like a soul food, a comfort food. And those are good too. But in a day to day, what I want to have accessible to me and ready to just grab and go and take is more of these like whole foods. A website that I've been using is called food52.com. And you can go in and you can choose like your dietary needs, if you're gluten free, if you're vegetarian, if you're vegan, if you're dairy free. There's like a whole list of dietary filters that you can put on. But you can also, this is what I like to do is when I get low on groceries, I will put in, I have Parmesan and ground beef and an apple and tortillas. And I will put in those ingredients and it will give me the closest recipe that incorporates those ingredients. So that's more how I utilize it. I do want to get better at cooking at home, doing my own meals. That's also just like financially going to be so beneficial instead of going out. I feel like in Minnesota, I didn't go out to restaurants as much. I was more of like a coffee shop girl. And here, I love coffee, but I do have my pour over that I used the other day, and I want to utilize that more. And I also want to invite people over here more so that we don't have to spend a bunch of money. I just am trying to aid myself physically in what I'm eating and what I'm putting into my body. I don't want to inflame my body. And then at the same time, I want to be able to save money and be hospitable. So I feel like when it comes to food, it really covers a multitude of goals and needs that I have in this season. And so I just wanted to highlight where I'm shopping, what websites I utilize, and why they're benefiting me. And maybe they'll help you as well. That is my advice for week 1. If you have just relocated to a new city, first of all, congratulations. It is a big move. It is a big decision and it is a lot of work. So you should be proud of yourself for making it this far, taking the leap of faith. I know for me, I had to leave family. That was like, I love my friends back home, but leaving my immediate family was the most heartbreaking thing I think I've ever done. But I know it's for a better life for myself. I just want to say congratulations to you for taking a good opportunity, for moving to a new place, for doing the risky thing, the bold thing, the scary thing. And I wish you nothing but the best. And I hope that you guys return to see what else happens here. I think this is just the beginning. The Lord's been answering prayers. It's been really a blessed first week of being here. And I'm excited that I get to share it with you guys. If you guys have other ideas for themes for the Journey to 30 series, I would love to hear it truly, like down in the comments. I think sometimes I'm just documenting my life and I forget that other people want to learn when they come to these videos. So if you have a certain subject that you would like me to try out or to talk about, please let me know. If you are wanting to move, but you're curious about a different experience or something that I haven't brought up in a topic yet, also let me know that too. Please pray for my job situation. Girls, it is rough. It is rough out here. Anyone who's in the job market knows it is very difficult right now. So I appreciate your prayers. I appreciate you watching my video, and I will see you next week. I love you.